From a highly secure network of top secret locations across North America, this is the Spurs Insider Thanksgiving week edition. Jeff McDonald, the Spurs beat writer for the Express News, is here, thankful for being able to find a turkey dinner somewhere between Portland and Denver, we presume. Nick Talbot, sports editor of the Express News, is here, thankful for all the clicks generated by superstar NBA guard David Jones Garcia. And I'm here. I'm Mike Finger, your host. Thankful as always to be with you, the listeners out there, giving us another year of positive feedback, lovely ideas, and loyal listenership. The Spurs. We're going to start out on.
You couldn't get that one out without laughing, huh?
I tried. It's the holidays. I'm trying. The Spurs are in the middle of a road trip. Jeff is trying to get to Portland as we speak. This is going to be a tricky one, Jeff. It's already started. It started with the loss in Phoenix, and I think the Spurs might be underdogs in all four of these games after just a great start. All these good vibes we've been talking about. 2 more victories at home since the last time we met. But this is a challenge, and stealing any one of these 4 was going to be kind of a problem. And I'm just wondering where you think, Jeff, the state of the Spurs are as they head to game 2 of this 4-game road trip.
It's been a vibes roller coaster, right? Like if we would have done this podcast on Saturday or Sunday morning, we'd be talking about how, they're 3-0 without Victor Wembanyama. And, 2 of those also without Steph Castle. And, then they go on the road and they lose at Phoenix again. So now 2 of their 5 losses are to Phoenix and 2 of their 5 losses are to Golden State. I think that division is a problem for the Spurs. Maybe they just get out of the Pacific Division, they'd be better off. But yeah, now they're really kind of, it's a vibe shift now because all the good vibes from that winning streak at home, you go on the road, you lose at Phoenix, and now you're looking at a 4-game road trip over Thanksgiving week. And like you said, none of them are easy. Spurs probably underdogs in all of them. I don't know about Portland. Kind of depends on who they have available or not available. But if they don't get that Portland game, then yeah, you're looking at going to Denver and going to Minnesota, and maybe it's an 0-4 road trip, which is not optimal.
And there's asterisks with that. Victor Wembanyama probably not going to play in any of those 4 games. Stephon Castle, we don't know yet. Not sure if you have any updates on Castle or Dylan Harper or any of the other off-court stuff that's going on with the local Cagers, but this was going to be a challenging road trip even at full strength to not have your 2 best guys in Wembanyama and Castle and to still be without Harper. It's a challenge, and this is a sort of a point in the season that we knew was coming. The Spurs started out really well. They had the benefit, like we talked about even before the season started, of a really soft part of the schedule, those first 3-4 weeks. Now we're getting to the point where it's not soft anymore, and we're going to find out how this team responds to some difficulties. And they've done well in some close games. They've performed well under pressure, but this is a different kind of pressure, and we're about to see.
Yeah, it's harder on the road. It's harder without your stars. It's harder against better opponents. Like everything is just getting harder for this week. And it was when we looked at the schedule before the start of the season, the number was 17 games. For the first 17 games, I think they only had like 2 playoff opponents from last year or 4 playoff opponents from last year, something like that. Only one that got through the first round of the playoffs last year, which was Golden State. Portland is the 17th game. Like that's when play time is over. And so after that, it gets even tougher. So
and 16 and 17 in that 17-game stretch,
better teams than they were like.
We're at Phoenix and at Portland, which were not good teams last year, and they're better this year. And Phoenix has proved it. Did I screw that up? Anyway, it's Phoenix and Portland.
Yeah,
Phoenix is better as the Suns have proven twice against the Spurs. Portland's playing good basketball. They're better than they were last year, and both of those games are on the road. And so it really turned out to be kind of a 15 game soft part of the schedule to start out with. 16, 17 are more difficult than they looked. And like you said, Denver, Minnesota, it could be it'll be interesting to see how Mitch Johnson and the his squad respond to this and deal with it. I think that they might be able to pull one out here over the next three, but in watching that game in Phoenix on Sunday, when the Spurs got out to a much better start than they did in their first trip to Phoenix, and when it looked like, at least to the first half, like the Spurs might be able to steal one there in Phoenix. I was ready to say that was a really big moment for them because you just get one of those four. You start this 4 game stretch and get one, and that makes it a little easier. Assure that by the end of it, you're what, 12-7? Like that's the minimum that you'd come back with. After you lose it, that 11-8 is still a possibility when you come back from this trip. So, that game got away like some other games have gotten away from the Spurs this year. And that I think the third quarter was a problem. Turnovers were a problem, and you just hope if you're the Spurs that you don't rue letting that one get away on Sunday.
Yeah, I think a lot of the flaws in the 11-4 start were sort of apparent in the second half against Phoenix. As you mentioned, the turnovers, the perimeter defense. The Spurs are giving up. I think they're like 29th and or 30th in 3-point percentage defense this year. And at home against the team like Memphis or Sacramento or even Atlanta, you're able to kind of overcome some of that. Like against Atlanta, they Atlanta shot the lights out of the Frostbank Center, better than 50% from three, and out rebounded the Spurs by 20. And the Spurs were still able to win that game. Probably lucky to win it a little bit, but also that's just home court. You go on the road and letting people get loose for threes and turn the ball over like hotcakes. That comes back to bite you a lot more. And so those are things they're going to have to clean up on the road if they're going to come back with any sort of success from this trip. Man, we're a bummer today.
Well, I know how to turn that around because you mentioned that the Spurs were out-rebounded, outshot from 3-point range, pretty much outplayed in a lot of areas against the Atlanta Hawks in the last home game of that long homestand last week. What did they have the Atlanta Hawks did not have in that game, though?
3 words: David Jones Garcia.
There you go. That's how we turn around a podcast. Big game from him. And here's the controversial take that's going to be aggregated and make this the podcast of the century. Like he's going to play more. Right? Like he's not necessarily a top 8 guy on the team. Like he's not going to play every night, but he can be a useful guy.
Yeah, he played a little in Phoenix, and it was kind of back down to earth a little bit. We're supposed to
Of
stop.
course, but
sorry, that's
but that happens to a lot of players.
right.
Like it's not just here's the thing. On over summer league, which by the way is practice. We all know this. It's how many summer league flukes have gone nowhere. We pointed out that summer league is practice and that you can't tell a whole lot from dominant summer league outings. And I believe the controversial take that we had over the summer that many people disagreed with was that, yeah, he probably deserves a 2-way contract and we'll see some time with the big team this year in the NBA. And I think that some people thought that was overly negative, and maybe it was, but anybody could have signed him, and 30 teams could have signed him to a full NBA contract. Did not do that. The Spurs signed him to a 2-way deal, which I think was appropriate, and now he's getting his opportunity. and he does some cool stuff. Like, I think he can score. He can the ball moves well with them. He's had some nice assists. I think he's always going to be at a bit of a disadvantage on the defensive end just because he's not a big guy. Defense is not his calling card. I think he
Three
can improve
steals
there.
in the fourth quarter against Atlanta. Three
Well, there
steals.
you go. So I'm
He
already
needed three
wrong.
dunks, like it was the turning point of the game.
But you know what like the steals, yes, the some
Right.
players are going to have matchup edges over him, like they do with every player, like every non-Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama defender is going to have some disadvantages against certain players. But that I think that if you get, here's what I'll say, if you get an Atlanta Hawks type game out of a two-way player that helps your team win a game during the course of the NBA season, that's already a win for having a two-way guy on your roster, right? Like whenever you sign three guys to two-way contracts at the start of the season, you're thinking if you can get one performance from one of these guys that makes the difference in a victory, like you're already ahead. You don't expect that from two-way guys. If you find a guy who can give you passable, solid minutes whenever you're down Stephon Castle, whenever you're down Dylan Harper, whenever you're down Victor Wembanyama. If you can throw a guy out there for 10, 12 minutes a game, 15 minutes in some games, and not get hurt, like that's a success for a two-way guy. Not many two-way guys give you that. So the big take here is, and it might be kind of an obvious one, but David Garcia is already a success. David Jones Garcia is already a
Gonna say,
success
don't D Jones.
in in terms of his two-way contract. He's already probably exceeded expectations for that two-way contract. That's already a good signing. He's gotten you a win. He's showing that he can help hold down the fort while the guys are injured. Now, is he going to remain in the rotation once Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle are back? Like that leads to a bit of a crowd in the backcourt. But what you want from a guy like him, and even the guys, 11 to 15 in the rotation, which technically what he's 16th because he doesn't have a full contract. If you can just expect solid production or production that won't kill you when you need that guy, he's a good guy to have around. And so I think all due respect to or all due respect to David Jones Garcia, like that's great. And for those who said we were too negative on him and didn't expect enough from him, you're right too, because I didn't expect him to make the difference in a Spurs victory this year, and he did, and that's awesome.
I don't know if we're going far enough in our backtracking because I
Okay.
got this during that game where a friend of the podcast. I'm going to read this for everybody. A friend of the podcast, who I won't name, but we see him at every home game. He got this from a fan and forwarded it on to me. I don't know the fan's name. It's not labeled, but it says, "Tell Jeff McDonald that his don't expect this much offense from David Jones Garcia post summer league take is horse crap, and he owes us all apologies."
Apologize, Jeff.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. I said a two-way guy was going to be a two-way guy, but you know, but he had a great game. He had a great game that game, and he is a guy that you hope can help you during this injury plague stretch, as a lot of guys are. I mean, that's really the difference in those three games they won at home. Besides the obvious, the teams they were playing were worse, and they were at home. I mean, that's how you win those games is you get little moments from guys you don't always expect, like David Jones Garcia, like Kelly Olynyk had some good moments on that homestand. Um, those guys need to show up on the road too, but it's harder. Role players just tend to play better at home. It's almost like a given bromide of NBA basketball, is you get more out of your role players at home. But if you can get some of those moments during this road trip, just they don't have to be stars, but just those little 3-4 minute stretches where they're making plays for you that you didn't expect. I mean, Carter Bryant's a guy that you might look at to do that. He kind of did that a little bit in Phoenix in the first half, had some moments. Like it's those little role player guys making a play here or there, making a shot here or there. that can really lift you when you're shorthanded. So those that's kind of been that was the difference to me from those 3 games in at home where you have these sort of David Jones Garcia types making plays for you, as opposed to that first game of the road trip at Phoenix where it was just further and fewer and further between, I think is the phrase I was grasping for there.
Well, another data point on those lines is 2 days before the David Jones Garcia breakout game, it was the home game against Memphis, in which the Spurs had kind of a rousing finish. That was back and forth. It was a rock fight for a lot of the first half. It was pretty ugly to be on national TV for a lot of the night, and the Spurs really finished well. Was it a 11-0 run to finish? Um, but the reason I bring that up is after that game, talking to Mitch Johnson, talking was it Harrison Barnes? It was another player who unprompted brought up the productive, what, 5, 6 minutes from David Jones Garcia. That was not the David Jones Garcia breakout game where he was scoring and stealing and assisting and doing all that kind of stuff. But they all said that he gave some productive minutes um, that helped them kind of weather the storm against the Grizzlies. So you do see stretches like that from players, just to support your point at home. You do that was a big Kelly Olynyk game that you referred to. He looked like the point guard for stretches out there. And you don't see as much of that on the road, but those are the more realistic expectations for those guys who are below number 10 on the depth chart, let's say. I think when the Spurs are full strength, Kelly Olynyk is probably below 10. Lindy Waters is probably below 10. Carter Bryant is probably below 10. David Jones Garcia is probably below 10. But if you can just come in and provide those spurts and kind of prevent things from getting away when the starters are on the bench or sidelined with injury, like that's what you want from those guys. And I think it's encouraging. All joking aside, it's encouraging that the Spurs are finding some performances like that from David Jones Garcia, from Kelly Olynyk, from Carter Bryant, like you said. Lindy Waters has done that in small spurts this year. And you need some more of that in these games on the road at Portland, at Denver, at Minnesota, and we'll see if they find them.
All that said, you can only in the NBA, you can only last so long without your best players. Like, they need to get
That's
some
true.
like, this happens all the time where you have, guys go out and, lesser guys step up and maybe you get a few games, but over a long stretch, it just gets to be too much. So they need to start getting some of these guys back. Hopefully that happens soon for them.
The On that note, Stephon Castle injury, which that he did he miss Sacramento?
No, he played against
That was that
Sacramento. That's
that
the
was
game he
when
got
he
hurt. He played the
so
first
that was
half. He played the first half and left at halftime.
correct. So that was once Portland gets here, that would be 10 days. And we're recording this on Tuesday morning. There might be some news. There will be some news Tuesday afternoon that Jeff will track down and have on expressnews.com and in the Dead Tree edition of the San Antonio Express News on Stephon Castle's availability, on the availability of everybody. But when they made the announcement on him, it was reevaluate after 1 to 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah, that was the announcement. Yeah.
So we're at the very beginning of the 1 week reevaluation, and we suppose it is not out of the realm of possibility that he could be listed as questionable or what have you for Portland. I would not count on it, but we're getting to the point where you might start to see him trending, as Mitch Johnson would say, or ramping up. There were 2 days off between Phoenix and Portland, so that could provide an opportunity. After that, it might be difficult because it's game in Portland, day off on Thanksgiving, game in Denver, day off, travel day, and then a game at the Timberwolves. So I don't know how that bodes for Castle's return, but you have to assume that he could come back relatively quickly before Victor Wembanyama does, and they could really use him.
Yeah, I would expect Steph before Victor for sure, just because of the nature of the injury and where it was, and they, as we discussed before, they take calf injuries super seriously, and they're going to make sure Victor is 150% um, before they let him back on
I
the
don't think
floor.
that's mathematically possible.
Well, yeah.
The the other player with the calf issue is Dylan Harper, and he's not wearing a boot anymore. So that's good news.
That's good. The only person wearing boots on the Spurs is Keldon Johnson. But yeah, Dylan, I don't know what Dylan's obviously getting closer. I mean, once you're out of the boot, you're doing a little bit more physical activity. That'll be a question to ask Mitch before the Portland game, how Dylan's coming along, but he's
Bet
on the
you he says
trip.
he's trending.
Yeah, I bet you're right. He's on the trip at least. Victor is not so far, but Dylan's on the trip, so again, you don't want to get people's hopes up. And again, they take calf strains very seriously in the NBA these days. Like Portland has two guys out with calf strains now. Like everybody has two guys out with calf strains NBA wide. Um, so I don't know that Dylan's going to be playing on this trip, but by process of elimination, he is getting closer. Like he's not going backwards, he's going forward. So he's going to play sooner rather than later. Um,
That's
maybe
a lot
before,
of words that's not saying much, Jeff. You could be an
maybe
NBA head
before,
coach.
maybe before. Well, because I know about as much as you do.
I'm just saying this is like the transcripts of the pregame availabilities over and over and over again in pregame interviews across the NBA. There are reporters asking coaches for injury updates, and they say that the injured player is trending, and that by process of elimination he's getting better and not worse, and that he could be back sooner rather than later. And at the end of this transcript, you realize that you've learned nothing.
Well, Dylan
And
Harper's out of the boot. That's
uh-huh,
good. He's doing some sort of physical activity. That's good.
uh-huh,
When he graduates to like the 3-on-3 and the 5-on-5, like post shoot around runs,
uh-huh.
then we'll know he's getting close. So I don't know what else to tell you on that front.
Now we appreciate the insight. That's good. Um, Denver, Portland, Denver, Minnesota. Howard,
Yeesh.
yeesh, if Stephon Castle can't come back, if Dylan Harper is not back, Victor Wembanyama's not back, how do you make it through these next three?
How do you make it through? I mean, you just got to summon some sort of. It's kind of what we've been talking about the whole time. Like you're going to need your best players that you have left, like De'Aaron Fox, to be really good, and then you're going to need little moments from other people here and there. When the Spurs are going well, you're getting a 3-pointer here from Julian Champagny and um, an offensive rebound from Luke Cornett, and David Jones Garcia forced a steal that leads to a Jeremy Sohan run out dunk, and Devin Vassell is knocking down a tough jumper as the shot clock expires. Like you're just gonna need a lot of little moments like that, and another way of saying that is you're gonna need a little luck. I don't. I'm not so. I'm not so. What's the bad one? Bearish. Bearish
Mhm.
is the bad one. I'm not so bearish about their chances in Portland. I think what we said earlier was that Portland is a better team than they have been in years past. But they're super banged up. Like they're missing like six guys, like six real guys. Like they're starting CD Sissoko at point guard. And they have
That
not
can't be true.
they yes. And they have struggled. They've really struggled with Drew Holiday out. Drew Holiday's been
Uh-huh.
out for a while now, and he's kind of been the catalyst for everything. He's out with a calf strain, by the way, so
Mhm.
not sure when he's going to be back. Um, the Blazers did just beat Milwaukee, but Milwaukee was without Giannis, who's hurt. So I don't know what to make of that. But like, if you're looking at what the last 3 games of this trip, if there's one you think you can get, it might be Portland, because the other two are. It's going to take a lot of. I mean, I was going to say they're unwinnable, but it's going to take a lot of work with the short-handedness of the Spurs. Like I don't see the Spurs going into Denver and beating Nuggets and Nikola Jokic without Victor,
Yeah.
and especially not without Victor and Steph Castle. And
What
Minnesota,
Aaron Gordon's out, so that's
Aaron Gordon is out,
something.
but they have Nikola Jokic,
Yep.
like, and Minnesota has been a team that maybe, some people would say they've underachieved a little, but that's a good team.
I'll
The
tell you
Spurs
what you wanna do against Minnesota is be down by, like, 8 points with a minute left.
Well, I think the Spurs can probably pull that off.
Minnesota's having some problems closing out games, man. Um, while you were talking about all the players that the Spurs could get contributions from and bringing up De'Aaron Fox, who had his moments over the past week, and his um, kind of the man that he's the head of the snake for the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama out and Stephon Castle out. One name that didn't come up, who had a really good week and a really good individual game against Memphis, is the Senator, Harrison Barnes. Like it 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 blows my mind sometimes about how we talk about him. Jeff had a great story about him in the last couple of weeks about the teammates who called him the Senator and Barack Obama, and because he's just been an old man since he was a rookie, and has this quiet dignity about him. He's still only 33, is that right?
Yeah.
Thir 33. Like he's not compared to us, compared to podcasters, he's a spring chicken. And there are moments when he can still take over an NBA game against a decent opponent. Like that Memphis, as much as Atlanta was about David Jones Garcia, Memphis was about Harrison Barnes just taking over down the stretch with Magic Johnson running hooks and uh, and a dunk that came out of nowhere that Harrison told us after the game he didn't realize he was going to dunk it until he dunked it, and it surprised even him that he was able to pull off that move. Like just to have that guy who you can forget about almost on a podcast about the team he's not brought up until 30 minutes into it. Um and just just have that steady hand and a guy who can still get it done when his team needs him to in the closing minutes of a game. That's a pretty nice luxury for this team to have. And maybe he will emerge again during this road trip.
The steady hand thing is the thing that jumps out to me. It's a thought I've had watching this team the last week and at times last year too. But this year, when they're actually playing for something and these games feel more meaningful, um, just to have a guy like him, and the Spurs have a couple of them now who just know what they're doing, and you can count on them to be in the right place at the right time and to execute what you want to execute and to make the right play and to understand the big moments in the game and what's required of them, whether it's a defensive stop or securing a rebound or a shot that kind of stops another team's run. Um, that first Victor Wembanyama team, his rookie year, did not have those guys. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like, and it was obvious, and just there's an obvious quality of calmness and coolness when you've got guys down the stretch like a Harrison Barnes, like a De'Aaron Fox, who have just been in countless moments like this before. And the Spurs had that last year too. They had Chris Paul. It just didn't feel as meaningful because that team was going nowhere. We think this team might be going somewhere. So all these games just feel a little more heightened, and so I've just noticed that a lot, just Harrison always being in the right you can count on that guy. Like, he's a Pop and coaches and Pop especially used to use that word a lot. He's a pro. Like, it
Mhm.
could be a cliche, it can be thrown around too much, but when a coach says that, Harrison Barnes is what they mean. He's a pro. He's gonna be there literally be there every night. I think it's 320 straight games or something. He's gonna be there every night doing the same things, doing everything you ask of him, being in the right place at the right time, and for a team that's younger in a lot of other spots, having those types of guys around is, it's invaluable. Like, you can't win even with the great Victor Wembanyama, you're not gonna win a lot of games unless you have those vets that have been there and done that and can still do that, which is another point. And it's not Udonis Haslem at the end of his Heat career who's not to get off the bench. Like, you have the guys that can do it on the floor for you. And so Harrison has just been huge in that regard for the Spurs this year and will continue to do so, I believe.
If this is the apology podcast, you made yours, as even if it wasn't
Did
exactly
that count?
heartfelt.
I don't think that counted.
Well, you attempted one. And I've made this apology before, but I will gladly make it again. Going back to last year, last preseason, meaning a year and a couple months ago, and even further back than that, when the trade was made over the summer of 2024, when the Spurs were lined up for this deal where they basically got Harrison Barnes for free. Um, the other option to make that deal work, it was the Chicago-Sacramento deal. Um, a guy who made a similar amount of money was Kevin Herter. Do you remember that?
Yes, I
And
do.
there was sort of a debate in Spurs circles as to which one the Spurs should take.
Felt like a little bit of
And
toss-up.
it felt like a toss-up. And I remember at that time, like Kevin Herter, I think is like he does different. Maybe he fits the team better.
We thought he was a better shooter. Like Kevin
Thought
Herter's
he was a better shooter.
like, but Harrison Barnes has shot it from three better than 40%, like both his years.
This is leading to my apology. I don't think we ever advocated for Kevin Herter over Harrison Barnes, but we like others considered it kind of a I'm not sure. I'm not sure who you the Spurs should take. The Spurs wanted Harrison Barnes, and then once they added Harrison Barnes in the preseason last year, I brought this up a couple of times over the past year and a half because I do think it's important to acknowledge mistakes. Um, there was a preseason edition in October of 2024 of this podcast where I went out on a limb and said that Harrison Barnes is going to start at the beginning of the season, but midway through the season he's going to be replaced. He's kind of a placeholder type. It's good to have his veteran leadership in the locker room, but he's not an integral part of what the Spurs are building. And I basically left it at that. Just dead wrong. Dead wrong. He's still not an integral part of the championship years that the Spurs hope are coming, but very integral to this turnaround. Very integral to this particular team, his second season with the Spurs. Like he is, like Jeff just said, having his steady hand out there is huge for this team. And in every way that he's had an impact on this organization over the past year and a half, from being that steady hand on the floor to all the off the court stuff he does. He's their arguably their most active off court community guy. They have a lot of them, but Harrison and his wife are really big out there. He's embraced everything it is about being a Spur. Just great addition. And I think the Spurs saw a lot of that coming when they chose him as part of that deal. I think they're even a little bit surprised at how perfect this fit has been. Um, but if we want to end on, we sort of started or hit some bad vibes in the middle of this podcast. If we want to get back to the good ones, Harrison Barnes is something that the Spurs, wait for this, it's never been done before, are thankful for on Thanksgiving. How about
Did you
that?
just come up with that in the moment, huh?
Man, I couldn't believe it. I can't believe that no other podcast, no other like sports writer in the history of like newspapers and websites and YouTube blogs and all that kind. No one has ever made a Thanksgiving pun about a team being
Somebody
thankful for something the week of Thanksgiving. Like I'm the first ever to do it.
somebody give
Uh,
this man a potty award.
Man, I don't know how we can top that. Are you gonna? Here's how we're gonna top it. What are you and Michael C. Wright and the crew gonna do for Thanksgiving dinner in Denver?
That's gonna be an interesting question. Part of it is getting there, right? Where you have to fly that day.
Yeah.
I'm just hope I'm just hoping I can make it to, Denver and be in front of a TV to watch the Cowboys fart around all Thanksgiving and, ruin everybody's, meal.
Did you want ruin their
Annual
meal?
tradition.
The Cowboys are unstoppable. They spotted the Philadelphia Eagles as 21-point lead and still beat them.
Uh, they don't do that on Thanksgiving, though. They are
Okay.
Thanksgiving party poopers.
But when you try, the listeners might be entertained by this. When you're traveling beat writer and you're on the road in Thanksgiving, it can be kind of a challenge to find a place open, isn't it? The
Yeah,
team's having its
I
big catered feast in a hotel somewhere that you're not invited to for some reason. I don't know why the team doesn't invite you to to eat turkey with them,
I
but
think
you
I
got to
ate some
find
of that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been on the road for a couple Thanksgivings now, in my time that I can remember. I remember being in having spending Thanksgiving in Boston one year, like a friggin' pilgrim. I had a nice all we could find. I had a nice pile of Thanksgiving nachos at the hotel bar because that was about all that was open.
Were they turkey nachos?
Boston. They were not turkey. They were just we could pretend. I think it was different kind of poultry, but we could pretend it was turkey. And I think there was another one in Indianapolis, which was kind of the same deal. Like everybody, for some reason, everybody wants to shut down their businesses and establishments over Thanksgiving and like spend time with their families. So nothing's
They're
al-
not thinking of the sports writers. It's a
yeah.
shame.
I'm not thankful for that, to be honest.
Okay. Well, that's a better ending to this. There's
Is
some
it?
things to be thankful for, some things not to be thankful for. We hope you have more of the former than the latter out there. Thank you for being with us again. We will see you next time. Until then, take care of each other and keep it real.